I find teaching the choir actually one of the hardest things because I don't want to be patronising, but I don't want to not teach anything. And for those who want to understand more about singing technique, so it's kind of walking that fine line of reaching everyone and giving them a good session.
Hello, my name is Eline Perez and you're listening to Are You an Artist? Today's episode is with the fantastic Rosa Lennox, and it's about being an actor-musician, polyamorous choir, and directing. Many new interesting subjects today. I love Rosa's energy and openness, and I'm sure you will too. Enjoy! I'm so impressed with your voice because I'm just starting to learn to sing, so I'm quite bad, you know?
No.
I'm not as bad as I used to be. I used to be really bad. I think because I repressed my voice for a long time.
Oh gosh,
so
yeah, it's insane, like, obviously, how vulnerable you are with your voice being the instrument because you're not hiding behind a physical instrument, and that if there's like psychological history there of if you've repressed it because an authoritative figure puts you down, and like there's this poor woman who's really cool who's in the polyamorous community, and I run the polyamorous choir, and she was like, oh, I'd love to join that choir, but there's no way I ever will because I can't sing. And I'm like, you can't sing? And a nun told her as a kid in this Catholic school, oh, don't ever sing, Sean. And I'm like, no, that's just awful because she enjoys singing, but she would never do it in front of another person. And like,
exactly.
I don't know if you...
That's
if
exactly
you...
a bit of the same. Actually, I was singing when I was young, just a tiny bit, and I was quickly told that, don't sing.
Which is just the most horrible thing because...
And it's so hard because when you really love to do it and you're kind of told off, it's a bit like you can't be happy in a way. And I had a bit of that with dancing. I was not super good as well, so I was a bit like, maybe don't dance, you know.
And, but you pushed yourself, and it's amazing.
And I think if it's really within you, it comes back at some point. And I think for dance it stayed, but for the singing it like came back later on.
Yeah, because the joy you obviously find in dancing and the expression you find, and obviously with singing, I think it's people think of all the songs they like, but of course the amount of genres which you can explore and find joy and like find different styles of singing, and your instrument, it's your own voice box, and so it's just
coming from within you in a way.
Yeah, and I say with the choir, absolutely anyone can join. You don't need to sing. You can be tone deaf even, like. The rarity of someone being tone deaf or actually not being able to sing, I can't remember the percentage, but it's 0.something% of the population. Even maybe 0.0 or something. It's stupid small for full-on tone deaf people, and even tone deaf people can still practice and get better, and it's all just about practice. And like to do a vocal warm-up in a choir, and it's just at what level is it boring, or I try and keep it exciting by changing up the exercises. But if you do those exercises and fun in them every day, if you sing, then you can see that improvement so much, just like with a physical instrument. If you do scales and arpeggios and stuff every day, or exercises where you really get your technique sharper, it gets better. And even if it's just not even exercises and singing songs which you're passionate about, and it doesn't matter about being good. I don't know why I'm going off on one about being a good singer or not. You are a good singer if you enjoy it and that gives you joy, and there should be more singing in the world, I think. My dad said I was always singing in the supermarkets in the little trolley chair with him. And that was when I was a little kid, and I think it shouldn't change when you're an adult. Like it's that self-consciousness or a history, which is a shame.
Oh, that's a good way to start, actually. I've written a letter.
You've written a what?
A letter to introduce you.
Oh my God, how exciting. What an honor.
Dear Rosa, I only met you last week, but I already knew that I wanted to have you in the podcast. You are the first actor-musician I interview. You play the accordion, but you're also a pianist, clarinetist, versatile soprano, and an experienced musical director. I had my first experience of singing in a choir this week, with you directing, and although I am very shy with my voice, you made me feel comfortable and welcome. You have such a beautiful energy, and with your CV, it feels a bit ridiculous to ask, but Rosa, are you an artist?
Oh my gosh, that's such a lovely letter. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm an artist. Woo! I mean, that's so lovely. Thank you. An artist is a weird one, though, isn't it? I think we're kind of told in society, artists, like, I definitely feel like I've got my fingers in lots of arty pies, but I feel like the ultimate artist in the way it's represented is like someone who creates their own work all the time. I see you actually, Alina, as an ultimate artist. The way you
Wow.
yeah, because the way you express your art form is through improvising and your own work, right? And it's different every time. Whereas I feel like in my arty ways, I definitely, I should own the fact that I'm an artist, but I don't create stuff from scratch hardly ever. So talking about singing genres and stuff, the amount of art there is already out there made by legends, if it's like a performance that you're dancing that we'll never see again. Obviously every performance I do will never be seen again in exact replica, but there's a gig I'm doing in a few weeks, this sea shanty piratey gig on the Golden Hind. Shameless plug. That's going to have a few new songs that I'm going to do with my partner in crime doing that gig with, but lots of the songs we've already done before on a previous gig at the Golden Hind, and they're all existing numbers. We're not making our own stuff. So while, of course, I do own the arty thing, I look at lots of my friends who are artists and like you, who I'm just like, wow, I'm just in awe that you just have your raw kind of art form done from a complete created from the ground upwards, whereas I'm just a bit like, I'll just take stuff that's already created.
But that's super interesting because for me, I see almost you more as an artist because I'm not really paid for anything I'm creating.
Oh, but that's a very harsh capitalist lens. Yeah, like, you know, we're given a capitalist lens
exactly,
to look
that's
through,
why.
And it's like, can you make a living out of art? And that's really not fair because I think, look at artists throughout time who didn't get paid a dime for their artwork, whether it's fine art or
But that's
or
so
acting.
Interesting how we have like so many insecurities when it comes to like.
And I'm sorry, if you think that, like.
That's fine. So how did it start for you, the music?
Oh gosh, I come from a musical family, like my mum and my dad's side, but my grandpa's a really amazing piano teacher. I always boast about him being quite alternative and, not teaching grades, but teaching quite interesting music. But he actually did seminars and stuff to the exam board, the grades ABRSM board, explaining about you got to get more interesting music in and here's better fingering for the scales and stuff. This was ages ago in the 70s or 60s or something. And he taught me piano when I was 7, and that was my first instrument. And then picked up clarinet when I was 10. And then I went to such an amazing school in Lewisham, and it was a comprehensive school, but the music, and the drama department, they were just through the roof amazing with what they offered, free music classes. It's just incredible. So that's where I started learning cello very badly. And then soon singing, like in year 10 when I was old enough, and just carried on with clarinet and piano on the side. But it's interesting you ask about music, and you were very sweet in the letter to say first actor musician, but like it's a crazy sliding doors story of that kind of other life I could have had, because I just pinch myself every day that I was always really into acting as a kid as well as alongside music. I was that classic kid who just wasn't like outside those two departments at school and everything. But I took a year out working before I'd got an offer at a university to do theatre. And I thought, I'll do music on the side. I'll do it in all the orchestras, blah, 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 and do theatre as a degree. But then in my year out working, I was just working at this, waiting shift at a posh house in central London, and then was just chatting about, I'm going off to study drama. But somehow we got talking about music, and they were like, but you sound really musical. And have you heard about the actor-musician courses?
I've never heard about that.
Yeah, at drama school, there were only, when I was studying at Mountview, there were only 3 drama schools that did this course, and it was pretty new. And it really is the 50-50 of studying acting and music. And it's not musical theatre, although we did have an overlap with that because Mountview is very good for that course. But it's really emerging in the last 10 years particularly. At my school, this very good music school, people kind of think, no, to be a full-on musician, you've got to go to a conservatoire and study it for years.
Practice 10 hours per day.
Exactly, and be that kind of standard. But what was brilliant about this course, my actor-musician course, was they were like, the more instruments, the better. So I went and auditioned with clarinet and piano, and I sang, of course. But then I got the place, and straight away my dad gave me a little accordion when I was 18, and then it was just a little one. And I was like, what an instrument! I've got to practice this loads, and I've never been more passionate about an instrument. It's just the fun of the left hand. Like the amount of accordionists I meet who are just pianists and only really play the right hand, the piano side.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just a bit of a low-key nerd. Like I've got that mathematical brain from my dad's side and my grandpa's side of the family. Like music and maths are very intertwined, and I think really unlocking the circle of fifths kind of theory side of the left hand accordion was really fun to just dig into. And then accordion just became my thing at drama school, because it's the ultimate actor musician thing, because when I talk about actor musician theatre, really fusing together those two things.
How would you describe it? Because
I mean, let's just take this with a pinch of salt. It can be pretentious as like, oh my gosh, there was this time at drama school where we were making wind with my accordion bellows without me playing any notes, but I just pressed this button and then my bellows, the book pages kind of part of the accordion, go in and out, and they make a whoosh, whoosh sound. And I really lent into that, going, oh, there's wind. And then someone uses a clarinet bell at the bottom of it to pretend they're drinking from a cup. This is the pretentious level. We're using our instruments as a part of our body or as a part of a prop for the story to tell. Wow. And it's that whole extension of your body. Sometimes a clarinet's particularly good for dancing with and, playing a sexy tune maybe. And then you're wriggling your body around in a suggestive way while playing it. And then you stop playing the piece and then you go, why don't you come to the bedroom with me? Or something like that. It's that kind of
cool.
Yeah. And if I was an accordion based character, I was maybe a bit hey everybody, and we're having a good time. And that's why picking up the accordion by speaking and moving at the same time, that's why it's an ultimately good one, because you can be this character while doing a monologue or singing while playing, whereas only other instrument you can move around with really is a stringed instrument like a guitar or a mandolin or bass or something, but you've still got that bow right in front of your face. So the accordion's just great for, haha, I am here, and I can do anything with it, apart from it being a bit bloody big.
And how do you find directing?
Ooh, I love it. I come from a background of teachers. It's a bit stupid. Not just my parents, but all four of my grandparents.
So they're all musicians
well.
and teachers?
Not every single one of my family's musicians, but they were all teachers, and I just love teaching. So directing is teaching, really, because I teach music privately to individual people, but also, run this polyamorous choir, which I think is the only choir in the whole world, from what I can see on site.
So amazing. I was sending that to a friend and he was just like, oh, wow.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, although it's really hard. It made me realise, there really aren't many songs that are about non-monogamous themes.
That is very true.
Yeah, we've got a few. I find teaching the choir actually one of the hardest things, because I don't want to be patronising, but I don't want to not teach anything. And for those who want to understand more about singing technique, so it's kind of walking that fine line of reaching everyone and giving them a good session. But I love it. And the directing's an interesting one, with also because I've musically directed over the years, having such clear vision, and I've always made plays or done productions, even just with little kids, just friends. When we're around at a friend's house, we're like, cool, let's do a play. So I've always had that really strong vision, and I think that's just from watching lots of TV or films and theatre as a kid. I was really lucky, and just it's that director cap on, which some people have, and some people like to be directed and some people don't. And
what do you mean, certain people like to be directed and certain people don't?
Well, I mean, I can't think of how many people I've met over the years who I've been in shows with, and some of them, even before they say, I've directed some stuff before, or I've made my own show before, I can already tell that about them. And some people just like being told, right, go over there and say your line, or go over there and play that piece of music, and they love it. But it's that juggling and knowing your place in the space. I mean, and it's not your place to say when you're not in a directing role and you're just in an acting or actor musician or musician role, to step back. And so I think because I love directing so much, whether it's music, but I have also done a bit of straight acting directing, it's just a bit nope, it's not your place. But then it is that fine line of being able to suggest things when it's linked to your character or the way you play this music. You can do it, but you've got to find a fine line of being respectful, and I actually really miss the mark sometimes.
Do you?
I'm really bad. I mean, this story's just really sad and annoying actually, so I don't know whether I should say, but it's just quickly, like, it's that level of how many different types of people there are in this industry. Every human's so unique, isn't it? And a musical director, I hope I'm approachable and friendly, and I hope that if mistakes happen, they happen, and I don't mind about mistakes. But if something in rehearsal is a mistake, I couldn't let that go, you know? Sorry, as in not being played as a mistake, as in it's brought to me and it's incorrect. So I was doing this show where the can, which is a piece which I play on accordion for auditions and stuff, or for fun moments, you know. And the musical director, who I don't think had really thought much about this or put much care into it, had just brought in this version that she'd just bought online from a rubbish website that had literally got the music written incorrectly. Like, we're talking incorrect notes, incorrect rests, and incorrect amount of bars before it goes da 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 da. It just had the intro all wrong. And I was like, how can I play this for 60 shows by playing the wrong music? I don't think I can. And then it was that really tricky, if I was the musical director, I would never have brought in wrong music. I want to say I'm not comfortable with this, but then that looks disrespectful to her. Can I do it on my own? Can I make a kind of joke comment? I tried the joke comment first, going, oh, look at us playing the wrong can intro. And she was like, yeah, I know, but it doesn't matter. And I was like, whoa.
Oh, no.
This is where we're different people, man. And I couldn't let it go. And I actually went home and got really upset at the idea of it, and texted the stage manager saying, yo, I'm sorry to play the whole neurodivergence card, but I can't deal with this. Like, it's the rigidity in my brain from probable autism of being like, I can't that happen.
But also I can understand, because it's also, you're so passionate about what you're doing, and if it feels really wrong, like your whole body feels wrong. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, I also struggle to do things that feel off, and I feel so uncomfortable, and it's hard.
And I was really trying to see from this musical director's perspective, but I couldn't, because the easy fix is, like, you just needed to cut 4 bars, because for some reason the music had they had that bit double the amount. So all you needed to do was cut 4 bars. You needed to change the rhythm at the beginning, which was incorrect. Blum 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 is what was written instead of blum blum. And then boom, we're all good musicians, so you could have just fixed it in 5 minutes. But I wonder if she just was wanting to really, like, establish her authority and just not change it because I'd asked.
It's a bit of an ego fight sometimes.
Maybe it was an ego fight.
I think, especially when you've maybe felt judged before and stuff like this, you want to rebuild your ego or whatever. Maybe. And then when you're told that something's wrong, you're just like, no. Yeah, I'm the director. I know. Like, I
think you bang on the money, Alina, and it was that battle, and I feel glad that I won. But I hope she didn't like me for the rest of the project, so I was just like, oh no.
So what happened? Did you just keep playing the wrong?
Well, it wasn't just no. It wasn't just me messaging the stage manager going, look, I just can't deal with this. I think because the stage manager knew that. I'm on the waiting list for ADHD and autism diagnosis thing, but of course that takes years. But she knew about that, and so was maybe a bit more lenient, thinking there's just something in Rosa's brain that they just can't deal with. But also, my granny had just died, and I think it's a shame if they felt more sympathy to give me what I wanted, because they thought they're going through a hard time. But it shouldn't have been like that. So I'd be really interested if I hadn't let them know about the neurodivergency or about my granny dying, would they have just said, no, stuff it? I don't know. It's really interesting. That's the biggest example I've got in my brain, is I love directing and I love not directing, but I think the talent needs to be, exactly, the talent needs to be there, man. And the carelessness I just can't deal with, because I care so much. Why I like directing, it's just amazing getting a room of talent in such different ways. Everyone's so unique and people are just so fascinating, and the stuff we can create together, it's just really special.
Wow.
So being in charge of that. Yeah.
And do you want to talk about your future year abroad?
Oh gosh. Yeah, well that's a proper actor musician job. I mean, so in a few months off to Shenzhen in Southeast China, and that's just going to be amazing working with people who I haven't met yet. Although I've managed to stalk a couple of them in a group email. I was like, oh, I know that name. Yes. And then I checked and I was like, yes, I know that accordionist. So I'm working with lots of dancers, actually, very physical theatre dancers. It's a very well-renowned theatre company called Gecko, but the artistic director from Gecko is bringing a new piece over in China on this ship, which is permanently docked there, and we're kind of doing a fully immersive show with the audience having a promenade walk around time, and I'm kind of being the master of ceremonies, accordionist guy, singing away and stuff, and speaking in French, I think. So that's going to be fun.
Okay.
You got to help me, please.
Oh yes, I will.
Yeah.
And that's interesting actually for people who are not in that kind of world. So it's a year. Do you know how long do you have rehearsals? Like how does it work?
Yeah. So some music rehearsals are starting next week actually, and then we've got 2 casts, and I actually join later and kind of grab onto what the first cast have done in a few weeks of rehearsals, but then we go over there, and I've never heard of such a long tech period, tech being the technical time where you rehearse to make sure everything's ship-shape within the space.
Yeah.
But because it's site-specific
it's on the ship,
it's 3 months of tech.
Wow.
Yeah. I've never, like, even for the biggest, craziest of West End shows, it's still never that long. So I think they're calling it tech, but it's basically... let's rehearse like no tomorrow in this place, which we really need to get our heads around, because, you know, I've already heard that there's flying involved, and I think there'll just be loads of crazy physical, technical things. And I've heard there are 8 rooms where action's happening.
Ooh, wow.
So that's a lot. And especially when there are 2 casts. So yeah, I can see why it's taken a while.
And so then you'll have 9 months.
Well, yeah, of the performances,
Okay.
And just exploring China, hopefully, because I can't go too far, but I've got weekends, and that's quite rare in this industry to have 2 days off. So it's going to be great to go to neighbouring cities and stuff on the high-speed trains.
Ooh la la!
Yeah.
And so you were mentioning, like, recognizing some names that... Do you often work with the same sort of people?
Oh, good question. I mean, the actor-musician world is stupid small, and there aren't many people in the good big shows that you haven't heard of, or that you've worked with or gone to an audition with and got chatting with. And especially when you've got lots of friends in this world as well, then you've heard that they've worked with them if you haven't worked with them. And... you know, you can also then just start your own theatre company with friends you make on shows if you realise you work really well together. Like back in 2021, my dear friend who I did Hansel and Gretel with, I was Hansel and she was Gretel, we were wanting to start our own theatre company because of how well we vibed.
Yeah.
Because we got cast from doing this group audition, and just a few of the exercises, the director and musical director were just like, boom, those 2, they're our Hansel and Gretel. And so that kind of clicking level you have, especially in that kind of pretentious side of things where you're just creating things in a very organic and actor muso way. We then did an R&D last year made by ourselves, just us 2, kind of going, cool, a show, what should we do? We want it to be about the climate crisis, we want it to be...
So you create as well from scratch?
Oh, you're right, but we haven't done it yet. And I think you're right, but no, that's a good point. Yeah, I think Lydia's more of the composer of us 2. I mean, I'm all right at creating from scratch when it's... I mean, this is kids theatre, and I've done so much kids theatre, and the level of what kind of composing you think, like I can do a fun little, like at stage school with the kids sometimes I'd just say, right, you want to make up a song? There was a feud with one of the groups I had only last Saturday of half of them were saying they were frogs, and half of them they were saying they were humans who hate frogs and want to eat them. And so I was like, cool, let's make a song about this. Cha, you know, that kind of vibe, like a simple chord structure, 4, 5, 6 chords maybe, and then you got it. Like, I'm not that kind of, right, I'm going to be as vulnerable, say, as you are maybe with, this is my own work. Like, in fact, my 2 actor musician best friends from drama school have both created their own shows about their lives, and I'm like, no way am I doing that. And, that's...
Do you think that's something you could do maybe later, like in the future, or...
About myself?
Yeah.
I don't wanna. I think
Not necessarily about yourself, can be about anything.
I mean, I think, that's why Lydia and I wanted to do about the climate crisis. It's that fine line, which I was talking about only this morning, of when you're in the arts and you're making a living out of it, as you were saying, like actually getting paid. And I pinch myself that this has always been my passion, and this is paying for me to live my life well and everything. But are you comfortable by doing theatre the whole time that is just a feel-good kind of theatre? Like, I think this show in China will be a feel-good kind of theatre. It's got a bit of a Faustus story, so it's got a bit of a morality kind of thing with the devil and all that, but it's not like people will leave really thinking. And it's that political thinking theatre that whenever I've gone to, it's made me really stop and consider things in life and have a different perspective on things. It's changed me. And I think theatre that changes you versus theatre that's entertaining, like the kind of jazz hand musicals you think of. There's obviously stuff which is in between, you kind of think a bit, which might be the Shenzhen show. But in a dream world, I would be creating theatre that changes people or changes young minds particularly. Like, we want to do this show for kids. But I wonder if I just don't sit the most comfortably with doing the jazz hand stuff, but then people stop me and go, Rosa, you're being way too harsh, because all those 9-to-5ers who have really hard, lives where they just want to relax and unwind at the theatre, that's what those plays are doing. So you gotta. I
think it's a fine balance. I feel like even in the stuff I consume, like now I'm trying to listen to intellectual podcasts in a way, about like social things, political things. But also I do need sometimes to just relax, because you can't be in the heavy all the time, I guess. Everything is already quite heavy, so we probably also need this kind of entertainment.
You're absolutely right, yeah. We are in a heavy world, damn it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just probably about trying to not get lost in that entertainment word when you just, stop thinking somehow. And seek that to really stop thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And, oh gosh, this world we're in, it's just so hard to find that balance. But I went to something the other day that was just pure laugh out loud funny the whole time. And I left feeling so good, and I was in a good mood for the rest of the day. So I do need to acknowledge it's really good. And it doesn't even need to be thinky. It doesn't need to be just climate crisis, which is, as you say, heavy kind of stuff. I'm going to see a play which is called Unicorn, and it's because I am polyamorous, like that's who I am as a person, rather than it being kind of a lifestyle choice. That's going to be me for the rest of my life. And I was really excited to hear this play was happening, because Unicorn, it's about a married couple finding a third to join their relationship, a third person, which is why it's called Unicorn. And I'm really interested to see if it'll do it well, because I've never heard of such a play, like such a big show, because it's in the West End, which is around the non-monogamous themes. Or
it's super interesting.
So maybe doing a show, creating theatre about there are lots of queer topic shows, but polyamory not as much maybe. So maybe I'm more interested in going down that pathway than queer. But yeah, we'll see.
Wow.
We'll see. I don't think about the future that much. Now I'm just like, damn, I've actually got my future planned for you here, because I have no idea. And you're thinking about your show maybe quite far in the future, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the only thing. But it's more practical. It's because I want to sing in it and I want to play the guitar, and I'm still learning. So I think I could start, but yeah, I think I'll do a mini solo probably before.
Exciting.
Let's see.
But yeah, I guess
it's good that I say it in the podcast, actually.
Oh yeah, because now it's set in stone. No, of course it's not set in stone. But I guess doing a solo show, like, my jaw drops in amazement that you can be that committed to, especially learn a new skill like guitar and everything, because it's that I have such a crazy level of procrastination if it's just for myself. So I really admire.
Which is so funny, like, because you are playing so many instruments, you can sing, like, you can do so many things. For me, it's so funny that you say you can procrastinate, because I just see you doing so many things.
You're very sweet, but I am actually so bad at practicing. Like, the joy when an audition or a gig is coming up, and then I'm like, great, I'm actually going to practice something now. And my partner of over 6 years was like, clarinet, I forget you play that. And I'm like, yep, sorry, I don't practice it. And I don't do it in as many shows, although I did do one last year, which was just pure classical clarinet, which was fun.
Do you have inspirations or recommendations of books, artists you follow?
Ooh, that's a great
whatever.
question. Ooh. I get like it's stupid on Spotify. It's a good resolution I gave myself back in 2022. It was to listen to new kind of music and like, you know, go down the radio pathways anytime possible from songs I like. And the rule was to make a new playlist every month, and the rule was they had to be always completely new songs that I'd never heard.
Oh, wow.
And I got over 1,000 songs in 2022 and stuff. So the amount of artists that I then listened to, and I still do listen to lots of new ones, has just made my music taste really, I mean, it's always been eclectic, but even more now, but like actually getting to know. So, you know, top artists from that, like then going to see them live, like I'm seeing Sammy Ray and the Friends tonight live, and their togetherness and their joy that you see when they play together. And it's like we were saying with theatre that just brings you joy and relaxes you. They inspire me by looking at them and seeing they love doing this. They love spending their whole lives on tour, and they're really gay and quirky and fun. Like they're just like, we want to be friends with you all. Because I think in lots of the gigs I do, or lots of the performances I organise, like with choir stuff, bringing joy, I do love it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So taking inspiration from that. And on an act musician side of things, it was absolutely years ago. It was at Wilton's, actually. I saw this show called, well, it was by the theatre company Les Enfances Terribles, and it was actually the show Les Enfances Terribles, and it was through the roof amazing with their creativity, because it was before I'd gone to drama school, and it was the first scratchings in my brain of the realisation, whoa, a musician exists, and they did it so well.
Wow.
And yeah, it still sticks in my mind.
So random questions of the end.
Oh my gosh.
What makes you laugh?
Almost anything, you know. Like my partners who I live with do absolutely awful puns. Or like not puns necessarily, but kind of just jokes. Yeah, plays on words. Like I finally nailed I barely knew a joke, you know. So that's too random. Sorry. Like I'm not going to explain that now, but I'm just going to let people be confused if they don't know that joke. Okay, yeah. And just people just being themselves and not trying to be funny. That's apparently what I'm like. Apparently people laugh at me when I've not tried. I can't say a joke to save my life. That's why I'm trying to learn the puns and the falator jokes. But but I
know what you mean when someone, because I also can laugh at pretty much everything. And then someone, you know, tells me a joke and looks at me waiting for me to laugh. And then I'm like, oh my God, I should laugh. Oh my God, I didn't understand. It was a prepared joke. And it's...
Yeah, I'm always the last to get the jokes, the official jokes.
Yeah. Do you believe in talent?
Whoa, interesting. Did we kind of touch on this later? It's like, later? Did we kind of touch on this earlier? Sorry, did we kind of touch on this earlier? Because I think, is talent inherited and all of that? Or is it just kind of done from diligence of practice and all of that, the 10 hours a day stuff? And I would say... Also, as we were talking about singing, if you practice singing every day or practice anything every day, I think everyone can be talented at everything. So I suppose, I believe talent is there, but I think anyone can attain it.
Yeah. It's almost like a skill rather than a gift.
Yeah, because, and this industry is, I feel crazy privileged to be in it, like with the opportunities I had. And I think that's where talent can come from, because... it's the pathways that I got given to be able to walk down rather than... And it's the combo with hard work, so...
If you could live a parallel life, what would you do?
What? Do you mean...
Is this a bonus life? So you still have your life, but you have another...
Do you mean in this world we're in now?
Yeah.
No, not this world we're in now.
I don't want another life in this world.
Well, this world's pretty fucked, isn't it? I think... Yeah, do something a lot more. I think people say, Rosa, your job is worthwhile, but I think it's also interesting if you just look at what's on the surface of how much you're helping people or being on the front line kind of thing. So maybe a life where somehow financially I'm secure enough to not have to worry about a job and just do political activism full time, you know, and really dedicate my whole life to... and every waking hour to various campaigns that I'm passionate about, like whether that's socialist causes or climate crisis causes or trans rights or queer rights causes or just even polyamory. No, that's not enough of a political active thing, but more awareness for polyamory in this society is good. We're in a very monogamous world, and just fighting against, if we're in this world, fighting against the very scary rising power of not good eggs.
And to finish with, if you could have dinner with anyone, alive or dead, who would it be?
What a question. Shoot. Alive or dead? You know what? I'm really into my pirates at the moment, like the Golden Hind gig, the sea shanty thing I'm doing in a few weeks. And I'm really enjoying looking at all the female pirates who had great lives. And I mean, I say female pirates like it's hard to know how trans they were or not, because Anne Bonny, for example, was definitely
oh wait, I think I listened to a podcast about her story.
And just how crazy their life was, and just I think I've got a lot of connection to Anne as well, because I mean, it seemed like they had multiple relationships as well. Like, so maybe poly-aligned person, definitely queer, definitely had this boyish kind of nature. People say I'm quite a boy, quite a twink energy sometimes. And I don't know if Anne did, but I think a dinner with them just to ask, tell me everything.
Oh,
that
wow.
would be really cool.
Oh, thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much for having me, Aline.
Beautiful.